a microphone to a lawyer. How many? Do I got 1 minute? You have 17 minutes. Oh, I've got 17 minutes. Okay. To all the people that are still here, some of you may feel that there should have been 10 times more people at this protest. You might feel disappointed that only a few people remain. But it only takes one person to change the world. It doesn't take 100 people marching. It takes one person that has decided that they have had enough of systematic racism and injustice to make a change for all of us. And so these protests didn't start out with hundreds of people. The protests started out with just a few people that had undeterrable resolve. And so you staying here, even though there are less than 20 people here right now, you staying here sends a message that we are not going to give up. Even if it's 2 people. Because a book says, where 2 or more are gathered in my name, I am going to be amongst them.
That's right. That's scripture.
So there are times like it's hot today. And you have already stood up against the injustice of officers that were more interested in protecting a statue than protecting citizens in Kansas City. By who? By who?
We don't know who beat her, but the police told her they didn't believe her. She had to come out to us and ask for us to help before the officers that were already here because of the statue. They ignored her. She had to come to us for help. And only because she came to us for help, the officers that were still on guard watching us came back out and was like, come here, man. What happened? What happened? Are you okay? Because they couldn't be taken off the duty of protection.
Remember why you're out here, and remember why we are asking for the termination of Chief Rick Smith. For too long, our communities have been occupied by military city employees. Militarized city employees that are putting people in fear of their lives, and sometimes they have even taken innocent lives without provocation. Some people are going to say, if we're out here marching demanding that city employees are not murdering unarmed civilians, why are we talking about black on black crime? Black on black violence and the Black Lives Matter movement are 2 symptoms of the same disease.
Yes.
They are not 2 different issues. They are the same issue, and that is the systematic racism that is embedded in the fabric of America.
Everywhere.
We are not called to a simple task. Even though we are few, we are called to change the destiny of America. Because right now we have violent communities because our education system in Kansas City in Kansas City School District has been systematically defunded by City Hall.
Yes. That's trash.
We are saying that there is violence in the black community because there is systematic and systemic defunding of areas east of Troost. We are realizing the effects of violence because our leadership in City Hall, our leadership in the police department, our leadership in the prosecutor's office are so busy pandering to us to hold a position on our dime that they are complacent with the reason why we put them in power in the first place. So we cannot be divided on small issues like symptoms of systemic racism. We can't be divided that this protest group is going to be here or that protest group decided to start up here. We need 50,000 protest groups. We need everybody in the city going in the streets.
Everybody's on one accord in all of those groups too.
And there is nothing that is saying that 100% of our demands cannot be met. I don't care if it's 5 demands or if it's 10,000 demands to dismantle systemic racism in this city, in this state, in this country. 100% of those demands need to be met. And even if we are only 10 people, our voices matter and our voices are loud. Everybody on here is on social media. People have 100 people at least that are listening to their voice every time you post something. People in your phones, most of us have over 50 contacts in our phones of people that are able to reach us at a moment's notice and that will listen to our voices. Even if your protest is standing on the sidewalk, even if your protest is just making a phone call or sending an email or dedicating your business resources, dedicating your client contacts, dedicating your personal circle of influence to the dismantling of systemic racism, that is enough. Some people are here for their very first protest. Raise your hand if it's your first protest. Okay, some of those people already left. It's okay. But even if it's your first protest, you are an activist. The definition of an activist is a person that campaigns to bring about social change. So it doesn't matter if you've been on the front line for 15 years or 15 minutes. You might have decided 15 minutes ago that finally you've had enough. And so it doesn't matter when you got here, what your fight is on the battlefield. The most important part is that you keep coming back. And that when you come back, you bring one of those people in your cell phone. That when you come back, you are using the footage that you're putting on social media to make sure that people know what happened here today. Because police officers about to mace peaceful protesters for putting a flag on a piece of marble that could be replaced when they're point-blank macing people with chemicals that may be expired and may cost you your sight. People need to know who we have on our payroll.
That's right.
We are collecting stories of 100% of protesters and other citizens who have been victims of police misconduct. Because we're just not going to stop with marching. There's a whole team of lawyers that are standing behind me, metaphorically. We have a whole team of lawyers who are dedicated to not only filing citizen community complaints, we're filing complaints with the FBI. We're filing complaints with Post, who holds the peace officer licenses that allow them to wear a badge.
How about that?
And we're not sending no form documents. We're not sending anything that's halfway. Because when we send your stories, we will make sure that they are heard or that the administrative process has to answer for it. But we need your advocacy in collecting those stories. So anyone that you know that has been victimized by police, you tell them to give my office a call.
What's your office?
Oh, right here. We got wristbands.
Okay.
Okay, we got wristbands. Google Stacy Shaw. Tell him to hit me up. Tell him to hit me up. Because we need all of the stories, not just some of them. And there are protesters that have said, I am too afraid to let my story be known in public. Police officers have followed me from protests. Police officers have threatened me and my family. Police officers informed ICE where I live. Police officers may have thrown a rock through my child's window, and I'm afraid. And so even if your story is not public, your story deserves to be vindicated. Every single person putting their lives, their liberty, their safety on the line to advocate for all of us deserve to be protected. And you let them know we ain't playing around anymore. We're not playing with holding people accountable. We're not playing with voting people out of office. We're not playing when we say the Police Commissioner Board needs to take action to terminate Chief Rick Smith. We're not playing around, and we're done being placated. We're done being promised empty promises and duplicitous words. We're done hearing empty words and speeches. We're done hearing promises that they're not going to keep. We are done, we are tired, and we are holding you accountable. And we will continue to march. We're going to continue showing up, even if it's 2 or 3 of us, until our reasonable demands are met.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.